Hey guys, it's me Gaming 2, and welcome to my 5th review of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Today, we are going to be reviewing a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child. And, yeah, so before we get to this review, let me just recap what I thought of the previous 4 movies. Part 1 is a scary, freaking amazing film with so many great scenes and an amazing cast, and it's just one of the top 5 best horror movies of all time. Part 2 was alright. It had its negatives, but overall, I had a pretty fun time with it. Part 3, I thought was even better than the original. I love pretty much everything about that film, from the Dream Warriors themselves to Freddy to just about everything. And Part 4 is a guilty pleasure of mine. I love Part 4. I found it to be very fun, not really scary, but very fun. So, what do I think of Part 5, The Dream Child? It's definitely the worst one so far. I'm not even gonna beat around the bush. Out of the series I've been reviewing so far, this one is the worst. Not out of the entire series, don't get me wrong, but so far, this one is the worst. Um, it's kind of close to Freddy's Revenge, but it's still lower than Freddy's Revenge, in my opinion. And we'll get on to that after the positives. I'm going to start off with the positives this time, because unfortunately there's probably a few more negatives than positives. With Part 4, my biggest positive has to be the dream sequences. I actually really like them in this film. From the scene where, the comic book scene to Dan's death, which is my favorite scene in the entire movie. Just a big majority of the dream sequences I find really good. There's a specific kind of dream sequence in this film that I do not find good, which I'll get onto with my negatives. Most of the cast is actually better than Dream Masters, in my opinion. I like most of the characters. There's a couple characters I don't like, and even a few I really don't like. But for the most part, most of the new characters are very tolerable and honestly pretty good. I'll have to say, overall, the kills are pretty good in this film. I really do like the kills in this film. Specifically the one with Dan's death and Mark's death. Those two kills with the motorcycle and the comic book death. Those two kills are awesome kills, in my opinion. And for my last positive with this film, I gotta say, it's probably the fact that I do like the whole concept with Allison and her baby basically being haunted by Freddy. Freddy is haunting the baby itself, and, yeah, I like the whole concept itself, but that kind of leads into the negatives of the film, which we're getting into right now, unfortunately. And the first thing, one thing that's always been great with the first 4 films, Freddy, I think, was awesome in all 4 of them. Not this time. I think this time Freddy is just taken too far in this film. He's way too silly. He looks like a piece of bubble gum. He actually, no, I wouldn't. He looks like a freaking piece of silly putty. And bubblegum. He looks ridiculous. I don't like the way he's resurrected. That's freaking ridiculous. I actually found the way he was resurrected in Part 4 kind of funny with the dog piss. I'm a raunchy kind of guy, so, I guess that's one thing. But, it was really weird how he was resurrected in this film. And the second thing, well, no, I gotta get on to Freddy a little more. His comedy was freaking ridiculous in this film. The only one that got me to have a mild chuckle was Bon Appetit, bitch. All of his one-liners kind of ruin the kills for me to the point where, while I like most of the kills themselves, because of his one-liners in this film, I really, really can't say they're up there with Dream Warriors or the original's kills, or heck, even Part Four's kills. He's just way too much of a goofball in this film. And this may sound weird to bring up, but another one of my huge negatives with this film, I don't like the setting. The whole feeling of like gothic mental hospital and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't find it that appealing. I find it actually really unappealing. Um like I'm also not a huge fan of the whole story with sort of Amanda Kruger and baby Freddy, which if you think Freddy himself looks ugly in this film, um I don't get why people said hate the Ice Age baby. Hate baby Freddy. That thing is freaking creepy looking. That is the worst Freddy has ever looked. And I mean that even over Freddy's Dead Freddy, which we'll get to next time, but not today. That'll be on Saturday. Oh, we're going to have fun with that review. I'm going to rip that review to shreds, but well, with this review, I gotta say, Freddy is ugly, but not as ugly as his baby self. Holy crap, that thing is ugly. Um, yeah, but I think another one of my negatives has to be the fact that just I kind of like the characters, like their personalities, but for the acting with this film, I found it to be pretty bad. Um, a lot of the acting was just, I think, a little too over the top, or like they were trying too hard. I'm gonna say specifically, kind of. The actors that I think did the worst were the actors for, I guess you could say, Mark and Yvonne, and kind of Greta. Greta's probably my least favorite character in the film just by her personality alone. I didn't really feel like there was much personality. But I don't know why. When there's a scene where they're in a warehouse and basically Yvonne is talking about Greta's death, and not sure if Greta and Mark were a couple, I don't know, but Mark gets really, I'd be upset too, but I feel like his acting was a little over the top when he said, "Then get out!" I don't know why. I might sound like a heartless bastard when I say this, but I laughed at that scene. I felt like the acting was a little too over the top with that. It was like something like you'd kind of see in The Room or something. Maybe not quite that bad, but this movie has pretty bad acting. I gotta admit that. And the last thing I really have to mention with this film is, for once, for one film, I will even give Freddy's Dead this. It has a pretty good soundtrack, but Nightmare 5 probably has the worst soundtrack in the entire series, in my opinion. It just does not appeal to me at all. I find it really, 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 really boring and just not my taste at all. And forget about the end credits song. Um, I That's just another negative for me. I don't like the music in this film. And that's gonna do it for my Dream Child review, guys. So this one is by a landslide the worst one so far. It has a honestly pretty bad cast. I don't really like the setting or the soundtrack. And Freddy himself is the worst part of this movie. He sucks in this film. I love Robert Englund, but why did he listen and do this film the way it was? Why? Why would you do this? This is ridiculous. And it does have a couple of positives. Like, I like most of the characterization of the characters, and I like the whole concept of the dream child and how Freddy's haunting Alice and her baby. But what am I gonna give this? What am I gonna give Freddy's? Or what am I? This movie's so mediocre that it's making me blubber like I usually do. I'm trying not to anymore, but what am I gonna give the Dream Child? I think A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 deserves a C minus. It's one grade below Part 2 because I feel like the negatives of Part 2 are a little worse, but this film has more negatives. And it is slightly below. Actually, it's the next place below from Freddy's Revenge. There's only two films I dislike more than this one, and one of them is coming up next. Oh boy, guys, let's have some fun because on Saturday we are going to be reviewing quite possibly one of the worst movies of all time. Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. Hope you like my Emoji Movie review because it's going to be a lot like that. But that's about it, guys. Gaming Do here. See you later. Bye.